In the previous market update we saw that price trends in the Porsche Boxster market were falling, but that scarcity level stabilized. Did this lead to changes in the depreciation rate? Here are 3 things you should know. Prices indeed stabilized. Spyder prices made a gigantic U-turn and supply is still plummeting. Welcome to a new market update for the Porsche Boxster. And not just any market update. No, quite an exciting one. Price trends changed during the last 3 months. And I'm sure you're happy to hear that if you're an owner, but are a bit less excited if you are hoping for lower prices. But before we'll talk about all of that, we'll check out the current market situation and the current price levels. Over here we have the US market in May, and this market looks quite a bit different than the one from February. Supply decreased by 25%, and this decrease is in line with the market trend. Supply is down in most markets. Prices, however, are up. And speaking about those prices, we can see that there is a Boxster for all budgets. Prices start at $10,000. But you probably want to spend a little bit more. 986s and 987.1s go for approximately $20,000. 987.2s though are a lot more expensive. You need to bring $24,000 more to get the version that is preferred by many. Both the 987.1 and 987.2 have a few cars that are priced significantly higher, and these are the Spyders. If you want a newer example, so a 981 or a 718, you need to pay up. From this point onwards, the cars get a lot more expensive. 981 prices hover around $49,000, while you need to bring $79,000 for a 718. Prices even go up to $140,000 for the Spyders. Are they the perfect car for a Sunday morning? I certainly have it very high on my list, and I think that many people would agree. However, unfortunately for us buyers, Spyder prices increased by approximately $10,000. And it's not the only model for which price trends are strong. So let's discuss point number 1. Price trends stabilized. Starting with the oldest model, the 986.1, we can see that prices increased by 2.7% in the base market. And this means that the year-over-year price decrease was only 5.6%. This is an extremely low number given the current climate. The market trend is down, and decreases of 15% are not uncommon. The strength of this trend also shows when we take a long-term perspective. Prices are still 4.8% above the ones of July 2021. Again, there are not many cars to which that does apply. The price trend for the S market is slightly weaker. The short-term trend is down, and prices decreased by 5% in the last 3 months. However, the market is also a lot smaller, which means that the uncertainty in the price trend is larger. You can see that the confidence interval is much larger than for the base market, and that the top one flattened while the bottom one continued to decrease. Therefore, the trend of the base market might be more reliable. A similar issue occurs when we look at the 986.2 market. That market is even too small to split it by the model types. So let's inspect the high-level trend. We can see that the confidence interval is indeed wide, highlighting the price uncertainty. Nevertheless, over a long period, prices appear to be relatively stable. They fluctuate between $16,000 and $22,000 and do not mimic the market trend. That one features a clear topping pattern, followed by a decrease. Alright, so we just saw that 986 prices have been fairly stable. They are the oldest Boxsters and in many cases completely bottomed out. Prices only move if a significant number of miles is added or if there are large swings in the general market trend. The 987 generation is a little bit newer and the price stabilization a little bit stronger. Have a look. This graph shows the prices for the 987.1 base and S models. And look at the price change during the last 3 months. 987.1 base models are up by 2.1%, S's by 5.6% and .2 base models by 13%. And especially the last change is an overestimation, but the trend is clear, right? Prices stabilized after they started to decrease during the summer of 2022. The 987.2 S market is unfortunately too small to yield reliable trends, so don't read too much into this red line. For the same reason, the Spyders are excluded. If we move on to the 981 market, we can see that also there, prices stabilized. Prices for the base model didn't change. S's are up by 2% and Spyders by 2.2%. If we take a long-term perspective, we can see that prices moved in line with the market trend. Last year, base prices decreased by 16% or $7,800, and S prices by 11.5% or $6,500. Now remember that these decreases are a lot higher than in the 986 market, but that's not so strange of course. In the grand scheme of things, these aren't bad numbers, so I wouldn't worry if you own a 981 Boxster. After all, prices are still way up compared to the pre-pandemic ones. Now when it comes to the GTS market, we have again the problem of the market size. It's fairly small and this increases the uncertainty in the trend. And with that, it's time to talk about the most recent generation, the 718. Over here we have the prices for the base, S and GTSs. We'll talk about the other models separately. Now again, during the last 3 months, prices stabilized. Base prices decreased by only 1%, S's are up by 6.7% and GTSs by 3.2%. S and GTS owners, don't pop the champagne just yet. These price increases are an overestimation due to the large inflow of low mileage cars. I looked at the details and found that the price change is much closer to the one of the base model. Focusing on that trend, we can see that the depreciation rate during the last year was approximately 5.8%. There are cars that lost considerably more, so this isn't a bad result. Now if we summarize everything that we've seen, we can conclude that prices stabilized in the Boxster market. The newer the generation, the stronger the bottoming pattern in the last 3 months. Price changes were close to zero or in some cases even positive. Prices for the oldest cars were already quite stable to begin with. This bottoming pattern isn't unique to the Boxster market, but we'll talk more about that later. I would first like to draw your attention to point number 2, the Spyders. Over here we have the price trend for the Spyder, and for comparison purposes also the 4-liter GTS and 25 years edition. We can see that 4-liter GTS prices didn't change in the last 3 months and that 25 years edition prices dropped less quickly. They only decreased by 2.4%. In other words, these trends are in line with the rest of the Boxster market. But look at the Spyders. Prices increased by 8% during the most recent 3 months, and this is a very strange development. Initially, I thought it was due to some data issue or a change in market composition, but this isn't the case. The price increase that you see here is a real increase. Have a look at this graph. Over here we have the price development broken down by mileage category. So this means that the green line, for example, shows the prices for cars between 2 and 4,000 miles. If the price increase would be the result of some data issue or a change in market composition, it would show up in this plot. But it doesn't. Cars from all mileage categories increased significantly during the last 3 months. A remarkable development to say the least. The big question is of course, what on earth drives this? Is it the large price increase for the 718s, the introduction of the Spyder RS, or something else? Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. One reason could be the drop in supply and the potential increase in the scarcity level. 6 months ago there were 48 Spyders listed for sale versus only 21 now. And that brings us to the third and final point. Supply levels are way down, not just in the Spyder market. A quick look at the supply development reveals that supply has been trending down fiercely since November 2022, but that actually it's something that is already going on for a long time. Supply in most markets stopped in February 2022, that is just before prices stopped. Obviously, this means that you as a buyer have less choice. However, it doesn't mean per definition that the cars are selling quicker or that prices will go up. We saw that prices decreased since the summer of 2022. Supply on a standalone basis is not a good predictor for prices. We also need to include demand, or to be more precise, inspect the balance between supply and demand. One way to measure this is by looking at the advertised times. The advertised time measures how long, on average, a car is advertised for sale. If this time goes down, the market is getting hotter, something that eventually might lead to price increases. We saw this during the pandemic. The opposite of course applies if the advertised times are increasing. Cars are spending more and more time on dealer lots, which typically leads to price reductions. Over here we have the advertised times split by the different generations. We can see that cars indeed were selling quicker and quicker in the first year of the pandemic. I think we all know what happened to prices in this period. Mid-2022 was a big turning point. The scarcity level in the market started to decrease slowly, and this started a round of price decreases in the beginning of 2022. Moreover, that has been the prevailing picture. Price trends for Boxsters were decreasing. But look at the most recent quarter. It's clearly the largest drop that we've seen in a few years. And this indicates that the scarcity level in the market increased, and of course explains the price stabilizations that we saw. So the decrease in supply indeed had an effect over here. It of course might be a seasonal effect. Scarcity levels typically increase a bit during the spring. Moreover, the pattern is exactly the same as in the 9/11 market. Check out last week's video if you want to know more about that. Data to calculate the trends that you just saw is very kindly provided by Autotempest. Autotempest conveniently pulls listings from a bunch of different websites into one place, so that you can browse through all of them. Check out the links in the description to find the Boxsters for sale right now. And on that note, it's time to wrap up and conclude. Are you buying or selling a Porsche Boxster, or just interested in values? Here are 3 things you need to know. Boxster prices stabilized in the last 3 months, and this is in line with the market trend. Yet, the increase in the Spyder market is really extraordinary, as prices increased by 8%. All of this results from supply decreases and a complementary increase in the scarcity level. Cars are selling again quicker, which of course helps to support prices. So what should you do with this information? Well, if you're looking to purchase a Boxster, you should be aware that you're paying a slight premium right now. Whether that's worth it is of course up to you. I think it makes sense to expect that prices will follow the prevailing depreciation trend after the spring. It's unlikely that we're looking at a market bottom. So if you care about values and are planning to keep the car for a long time, it might make sense to wait a little bit. For owners, the information shows that if you're thinking about selling, right now might not be a bad time. But also if you're planning to keep it, there is little reason to panic. Price trends are generally speaking still down, but depreciation rates are in line with the rest of the market. And with that we arrived at the end of this video. Now if you enjoyed this data-driven way of analyzing car markets, but would like to see a video for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you will find data-driven analysis for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week for a new video.